Hello, this is Ernest Burley, your CIA, your cool insurance agent, back at you again with some more great information on insurance. I'm a licensed insurance agent with over 30 years experience, licensed in many states across the country with clients all across the country. And I specialize in all areas of insurance. So whether it's auto insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care, homeowners, business, church, whatever it is, we do it here at my firm. Now, the purpose of this podcast is to enlighten you, to educate you, and to empower you with objective and unbiased information so you can make the right decisions for you and your family. In today's case, for your business, okay? So that's what it's all about, making sure that you have the right information so you can make the right decision for yourself and for your business and for your family. That's it. I just want to give you a little bit of information about me. I like to get right at it. So let's get at it. The podcast today title is Mind Your Business. So mind your business. What do I mean by that? I mean, don't be nosy. Don't be nosy. No, I don't. I mean, mind your business. Entrepreneurs, mind your business. Now, don't turn me off if you're not an entrepreneur. So this podcast is for three groups of people. Entrepreneurs, of course, mind your business, business owners, okay? The second group of people is those who aspire to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. So you need to know what goes into the pudding, right? And those individuals who are not entrepreneurs and have no desire to be an entrepreneur, this is for you too. Because guess what? This works to your advantage when you can understand some of the thought processes of a person who owns a business. It will make you a better employee, a better team member, give you a better understanding of what their thought process is. So you might say, oh yeah, that's why she's thinking that way right now. Or, oh yeah, that's why he does that. So yeah, this is for you too. So don't tune me out or turn me off just because you're not an entrepreneur or don't aspire to be one, because this can give you some insight to how a person thinks if they're an entrepreneur and make you a better person, a better employee as a result of it. Grow you, I call it personal, professional, and financial growth. Yeah, okay. All right, so first thing you want to have is a general liability policy. So it amazes me, a lot of business owners, I come across a lot of clients that we have insurance consultations and they don't have a general liability coverage. So you want a general liability policy. And what that does is that's basic in all business policies, a general liability. So general liability is different from professional liability, and we'll get to professional liability in just a second. General liability is just that, it's for general liability situations. So say if someone comes into your office, they sit on a chair and the chair breaks and falls and they break their arm or something like that. That's general liability. Or they walk to the bathroom and trip over a bump in your carpet and hurt themselves. That's general liability. That's what happens on premises. But it also gives you coverage off premises. So say you're giving a presentation somewhere and you have a cord from your laptop going into the wall, but it's going across a walkway and someone trips over it and injures themselves. That's general liability too, but it's off premises. You're covered for that. So you definitely want general liability coverage for situations like that. You don't want someone digging into your pocket or suing you because you don't have liability coverage or a business policy. Now, professional liability is a little different. Well, a lot different actually, because general liability does not cover professional liability, and professional liability policies don't cover general liability. So you want to make sure you have the right policy. A professional liability policy is more geared towards an area of expertise. So like an insurance agent, a financial services professional, an accountant, a doctor, a funeral director, IT person. It's geared towards a specific area of expertise that you have. And if you're providing advice to people or services to people, more than likely you probably need some professional liability coverage. Because if something unfortunate happens, say you're an IT person, you're a computer programmer, and you're working on someone's computer program at their office and you damage their software, that's professional liability. So your general liability, your basic business policy is not going to cover that. You need to have professional liability for the services you provided to that individual that damaged their computer system. Say you're an accountant and you mess up someone's taxes, or a realtor and something goes wrong with a real estate deal. That's all professional liability. A funeral director and you mess up someone's homegoing service. That's all professional liability, totally different from general liability. They're both business policies, but different types of policies. So make sure that you have the right policy based on your profession. Errors and omissions, that's professional liability also, but that's a common term used in the insurance industry. errors and omissions. So say, for instance, if you write a renter's policy for someone who owns a condo, so they have a condo, but you gave them a renter's policy, different coverages on those policies, right? So if something unfortunate happens and they don't have the proper coverage, then they're going to be able to come after you under that E&O policy, errors and omissions. Say, for instance, if someone buys a new car and you don't add physical damage coverage onto that vehicle as an insurance agent, you're going to have a problem if they wreck that car, because more than likely someone with a new vehicle wants full coverage on it. So that will fall under your errors and omissions. You better have some good documentation that states that they specifically did not want full coverage on that vehicle. It's not a smart thing to do that, okay? So that's it for the liability part of the policy. You have your general liability, your professional liability, okay? Those are two different types of policies. Now, your regular business policy gives you some coverage for personal property. I shouldn't say personal property, I mean business personal property or business property. So your phone, your furniture, your computer, things of that nature that you have on premises to run your business. So you want to make sure you have coverage for that too, right? Now, that gives coverage for that property on premises, but you want to make sure that that property is covered off premises too. A lot of businesses say, business policies actually state they'll give you coverage on premises for your business property and within 100 feet and within 100 feet of the business. But if you go outside that, then some companies, some policies won't give you coverage for your business property outside of 100 feet of your business location. So make sure that coverage is in your policy. If it's not, then you may want to have some additional coverage added onto it. So check that it has on and off premises coverage for that business property. Now, endorsements, we want to make sure we have some good endorsements onto our policies. And those are specific based on the business that you operate. So say, for instance, if you're a grocery store or a meat shop or a flower shop, you may want to have something called temperature change, an endorsement for temperature change on your policy. Because if your freezers go down or something like that, then that's going to mess up your flowers or your food, your fruit, or what have you. So there's an endorsement on there for temperature change that you can add onto your policy. If you're a contractor, you may want to have a mobile equipment endorsement rider on your policy. So that gives contractors and construction workers coverage for the mobile equipment that they use while they're doing their job, right? Tools, you may want to have a separate endorsement for your tools. Like say if you own a janitorial service or you're a contractor that does work on people's premises. So you may want to have an endorsement for the tools. Another endorsement that you might want to have, retail stores have what's called a seasonal receipts or peak endorsement. And that basically gives coverage for, like say during the latter part of the year, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, a lot of retail stores, a good percentage of their sales comes during that time. And if something unfortunate happens during that time to cause them to have loss to their product and loss to sales, that's a bad situation for them. So they can have this rider that gives them additional coverage during that peak season to kind of recover. Okay. Now another endorsement, D&O, directors and officers liability. So if you're on a board of directors, then you want to make sure you're covered under that policy. Make sure they have a policy for directors and officers. So if someone comes after that board or comes after that company, you're covered under that particular policy. Employee dishonesty. Okay. If someone steals from your company, you can add employee dishonesty onto your policy. Now, that doesn't cover owners. Okay. So you can't steal from yourself and then claim it. No, please don't do that. So that's for employees that may steal from you. You can add that coverage onto your policy. Bailee endorsement. That's for businesses that normally have possession of someone else's property. So say a dry cleaner, right? Or a tailor or an auto repair shop. They have receipt, they have control, they have custody of your property for an extended period of time. And that gives them coverage in case something unfortunate happens to that property while it's in their care, custody, and control. That's called a bailee endorsement. So those types of businesses have that type of endorsement. So based on the type of business you have, you may need to add some endorsements onto your policy that are not included in the basic policy. So make sure you speak with your agent about that. The next thing, as a business owner, mind your business. Okay, we talked about mind your business. We talked about various areas of insurance already. We're going to talk about some more insurance in a minute, but I want to kind of delve off a little bit into making sure that you incorporate. So you want to make sure you incorporate, so you separate your business assets from your personal assets. Don't intermix those things. Don't mingle them, because you don't want something to happen to the business and that also adversely affects your personal property. Let's not do that. Separate it, make sure it's separated, and you have no issues with mingling the two. Also, you want a separate bank account. So you should have a separate bank account that's in the name of the business, and you should be paid in the name of that business, not in your name. It should be going to ABC Company, not, Tyrone Johnson or Mary Brown. It should go directly to the name of the business into that bank account. And you should have a debit card from that bank account too, where you're making purchases. So all income and expenses should come out of that bank account or from your credit card. So you should have a credit card in the name of the business also. So all income and expenses are easily traceable and trackable through those particular accounts: credit card, debit card, checking account. Very important that you do that. Very important. Also, you want to make sure you pay yourself a salary. So I come across clients often who, and this hits people big time during the first year as a self-employed person, you end up earning some money and you're like, oh, this is great, but you haven't paid any taxes. So if you don't pay taxes on the money, then you end up in a situation where you have a big tax bill that following April, and that is not ideal. Like I said, I speak from experience. I tell you, I don't talk about stuff that I've read about or heard about or I read in a book. I'm telling you from experience. So I played that game where you take a draw out of your business account as opposed to paying a salary to yourself, or, I'll say take too many draws and not balance that out with, getting actual salary, right? You want to pay yourself a salary or pay estimated quarterly taxes if you want to do that. But I recommend paying yourself a salary. You're an employee of your company. You get a nice W-2 at the end of the year. You can give to your accountant. It shows how much you paid yourself and your taxes and all that good stuff. So you want to make sure that you're doing that and make sure you don't have a big tax bill come that following April, because I've bitten into that donut a couple times and it wasn't too tasty. So let's not do that. Let's reduce our tax burden by paying taxes all throughout the year and not having a big tax bite at the end of the year. That's a big problem for a lot of people who are new into entrepreneurship because they're not used to it. You're used to being a W-2 employee and having those taxes come out of your paycheck. But it's not that way. When people pay you for your services, they don't take out taxes. They just write you a check, you deposit it, then you're responsible for paying the taxes. Okay, real estate investors, we're back on the insurance part. So real estate investors, you want to make sure you have the right type of insurance on your property, right? So if you have a rental property, then that's one type of policy. Then you want your renters inside that property to have a certain type of policy. And if you have a business out of a building, you want the right type of policy there. Also, if you have a property that's under construction or being renovated, that's a different type of policy. That's a builder's risk policy. So you want to make sure you have the right type of insurance policy based on the property that you are owning or investing in. Very important, because you don't want something to happen to the property and you don't have the right type of insurance. You don't want that to happen. So I'm trying to prevent that. Your CIA, your cool insurance agent, okay? All right, another thing I recommend for our clients, whether they be a business owner or not. So this is mind your business. So you want to make sure you're minding your business. All of this stuff we're talking about is minding your business. But also I recommend this policy for everyone, really, an umbrella policy. And what this policy does is it gives you an extra $1 million of coverage over and above your basic liability policy. So whether you're a homeowner, a rental property owner, an auto owner, you're driving a car. So whatever type of liability exposure you have, you're a boat owner, you should have an umbrella policy to cover that. So if you're a business owner, you have an extra $1 million, $2 million over and above your basic policy. So if something unfortunate happens, you have additional peace of mind and know, okay, man, something really went bad, but I have an insurance policy to take care of that. And guess these policies cost only a few $100 a year. Very inexpensive. If it's a business expense, you write that off, right? But you have the peace of mind knowing you have $1 million or $2 million. I have some people who get $5 million umbrellas because they just want to make sure that no one's going to be able to tear down the little piece of kingdom that they've built. Okay, very important. Only a couple bucks. Now, employees, I recommend you have to have workers' comp, right? So that's more insurance. If you have employees, you want to have workers' compensation insurance. And don't play this game. A lot of people try to play this game as a 1099. You say, hey, my people are 1099. If you have control over their work product, They're not 1099s. They're W-2 employees. In a lot of states, they don't like that, people playing that game. So if you have control over their work product, they should probably be a W-2 employee that you have on payroll and you're taking out taxes for them. As opposed to a 1099 person, you have no control over their work product. So if I have a plumber come into my office and they do work on the plumbing system, I have no control over that. They put a water heater in or do something on the plumbing fixtures. I have no control over it. That's not my area of expertise. That's their area of expertise. And I don't have any control over that work product except to say, hey, this is the problem I have, and I'd like you to fix that for me if you can. An electrician, a roofer, those are 1099 situations where you're contracting a service with someone and you have no control over what they're doing. You're hiring them for their expertise and you're paying them based on their expertise. If you have someone sitting in your office, you have control over their work product, you're training them, you're kind of guiding them on what to do, then they're employees and you need to make sure that you have workers' compensation insurance. So if something unfortunate happens while they're within the scope of their employment, that you have coverage for that and they don't come directly after you. Don't do it. So have workers' compensation insurance. Now, here's another aspect or avenue about employees. If you have employees, you want to recruit. So, I know that's an additional expense. So some people are one-man shows, but you can't, multitasking has its limits. You can't grow with just yourself. You can only grow to a certain extent by yourself because you can multitask all you want, but eventually it's going to tie your hands and you won't be able to grow to the capacity that you want to. So having more capable people on your team allows you to grow your business more. So recruit, have the right people on your team. You want to screen people. So the first thing is to recruit, of course. Then you want to screen people. You want to hire the right people, check their credentials, check their references, have at least 2 interviews with them, maybe even 3, to try to get a good feel for them and check out their references and things of that nature. People say one thing in an interview and then when you hire them, it can be a totally different thing. So I get that, but at least do some due diligence because a bad seed can wreak havoc on your business. A bad seed can wreak havoc on your business. I'm speaking from experience, okay? So like I said, I don't talk from what I hear in books. I talk from what I experienced in life. So you don't want to have a person giving your clients a hard time, your other employees a hard time, your vendors a hard time. That's just not a situation you want to be in. So try to do some pre-screening and try to make sure you have the right person. Training, you want to make sure you train the person so they have good habits that reflect the values of your company. And you want to know why you want to do that? Because they are the face and the voice of your company. So you want them to answer your phone in a professional manner, and you want them to be dressed and presentable in a fashionable and professional manner. The next thing you want to do is evaluate. You want to evaluate on a consistent basis. So give honest evaluations. Always include something positive. Even if they have a lot of things to work on, always include something positive. Unless they are just totally unsalvageable, then you need to make a decision on that basically. But always be constructive, be praising, be encouraging, and also be challenging. So if they are proficient in everything, give them another carrot to go after so they can grow financially, professionally, and personally, right? So always challenge them to be better and to grow in another area and to get more knowledge, even if they are proficient where they are now. So include good, honest evaluations because it may come back around, and I'll explain that to you in just a second. Promote, that's the next thing you want to do with employees. You want to make sure you want to promote people. So give them the opportunity to get raises and to get different positions within the company. So make sure you have opportunities for advancement within your company. Benefits, ideally you want to offer some benefits. So like health benefits, retirement plan, flexibility, bonuses, give them a lunch every now and then. So that type of perky stuff, it helps morale. So do that kind of stuff too. And last but not least, if it's not working out, you must terminate, okay? Because like I said before, a bad seed can really wreak havoc on your business. The lingo in the industry as an entrepreneur is to hire slow, fire fast. Hire slow because you want to do your due diligence and try to make as best possible conclusion that you hired or found the right person. So do your due diligence by resume and interviews and checking references and checking credentials, all that kind of stuff. But when you notice that they are not going to improve and they've decided not to, or they haven't taken the opportunity to, you have to terminate. You got to get rid of that situation. So now I want to put a little bit of caveat there. Give them a lot of opportunities to fix the situation. I mean, don't just be cutthroat. I would say give them plenty of opportunities. By the time I get to the point of having to terminate somebody, my mind and conscience are totally clear because I've given several opportunities for the person to improve in the areas that I've asked them to improve in. So that's what I would just give you a little caveat there, to hire slow and fire fast, but give them opportunities to improve. Okay. Now let me give you an example. I had one client, not a client, an employee a long time ago that I had to terminate because, hey, this was a bad situation. And the person filed for unemployment, right? Now the unemployment, that's a whole nother process that you have to go through when you terminate someone. It's unemployment. So it's like you never really get rid of a person for one reason or another. But in either case, this person was lying to the unemployment rep and saying that I hadn't told her, or I hadn't discussed these type of concerns I had with her. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We had several conversations. I gave her several opportunities to improve. And the person said, well, no, that's not what the person's telling me. Do you have any documentation? I was like, yeah, I have documentation. I have several evaluations that are signed and dated that show that we discussed this and that she acknowledged that. So when I faxed that information to the person, she said, the workers' comp person said, yeah, you should have fired her a long time ago. And that's surprising because they don't say that kind of stuff. They don't want people claiming unemployment, but they saw that this person was just blow-faced lying to her, and that it was documented that I was trying to give her every opportunity possible to just improve in these basic areas. It wasn't complicated, like customer service or whatever. So she said, yeah, you should have fired her, because if you continue to let that persist, then that becomes a problem. So that was a a lesson I learned, right? So that's it. I want to just hit you with this: mind your business. And we covered a lot of points. Let me recap it for you so I can let you go. So one way we want to mind our business is make sure we're taking care of the insurance needs of the business. And we talked about several different types of insurance plans, right? General liability, professional liability, workers' comp, umbrella policies, different types of property policies for real estate investors. So you want to make sure you have the right insurance in place so you mind your business and make sure that your business is functioning properly and properly insulated. You want to separate your accounts, have your business accounts and your personal accounts. Okay, we talked about that. You want to pay yourself a salary so you don't have a situation where you're owing a big amount of taxes the following year because you haven't paid an adequate amount or any taxes during the previous tax year. That's not a situation you want to be in. So pay yourself a salary throughout the year. And if you need to pay more, pay estimated quarterly taxes too. It's better to pay that every quarter than to have to come up with a big sum in April of the following year. And we talked about your team, making sure you do the right thing with employees, recruiting and screening and training and giving benefits and promotion opportunities. And when it gets to the last straw, terminate. Okay. So those are the big things. And some of the takeaways are, hey, all that glitter is not gold. It's great being an entrepreneur and a business owner. I love it, but there's a lot behind the scenes. Some people think it's really easy. It's no big deal. You're a business owner. Everything is great, but just ask a business owner. Especially if you have employees, that adds another whole element to it. You have employees, you have clients, you have your own stuff you have to deal with too, like continuing education. You have stuff going on in the building. You have marketing, you have everything is your responsibility. And of course, you want to have employees, a good team to help you manage those responsibilities, but everything really falls on you. So there's a lot going on all at the same time, and you are the one that has to deal with it as the entrepreneur. So I'm not trying to discourage you, but I want you to have your eyes wide open and know exactly what it takes to be an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur. I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. Hopefully you got some good nuggets of information out of it, and I hope you share it with others. Make sure you share it on all your social media platforms. If you want to reach out to me and connect with me, I'm very easy to reach out to, very easy to connect with. My email address is ernestburleyjr@gmail.com, just my full name @gmail.com, ernestburleyjr@gmail.com. And the phone number to my firm is 301-262-2600. Again, that's 301-262-2600. Hey, this is your CIA, your cool insurance agent, Ernest Burley Jr., signing off once again. Until we speak again or meet again, hey, I hope you have a great, great time.